Hi, my name is Tyler, and this is my mini project 1, where I created a program that automatically plays rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Alright, so I went ahead and turned off my webcam. So first we'll start off with the step 1. Here I created the basic outline of the program. I assigned player 1 and player 2 with an input statement to grab the player names. I also have the number of rounds variable to get the number of rounds that the player wants to play, and that is nested within a while true loop just to keep looping that. And then I have 2 more while loops nested within this main one here, and this first one is searching for a number of rounds to be less than 1. If it's less than 1, you're going to get an error, and if not, you'll move on to the next while loop. This one, if its number of rounds is greater or equal to 1, then it's going to go ahead and begin and print out the player names, number of rounds. We can go ahead and move on to step number 2, and to begin with, we imported the random module. And then within the main while loop, I added an if statement. So if the number of rounds is greater or equal to 1, then we can begin with the game. And I added a nested while loop. So here, if the number of rounds is greater than 0, then we're going to go ahead and assign player 1 value and player 2 value with a random integer from 0 to 2. And if the player 1 value is equal to player 2, we'll print a tie, else we're going to print not tie. And then I also went ahead and added the number of rounds minus 1. And this is for later when we're going to introduce number of rounds, and once that reaches 0, then we'll end the game. And when number of rounds does reach 0, we print game over. Alright, and now we can move on to step number 3. So with step number 3, I created a dictionary, and the dictionary had the keys rock, paper, scissors with the value 0 through 2 assigned respectively. And then I created a nested if-else branch within the while loop that it uses the dictionary that I created. So I called the dictionary using the key paper, which is the value of 1, and the key rock, which is the value of 0, which then I can use to determine who won. So player 1 wins with paper because player 2 had rock. And I do that for all of the possible outcomes. And then again, once the number of rounds reaches 0, we'll print game over. Now we can get to step 4, which is the final step. And now this is the fully completed program. So here I have created the variables player score. So I can now keep track of the scores. So if the player 1 value equals player 2, which is a tie for the round, we're going to add 1 to the player tie score. Then if the player 1 wins with paper, we add a plus 1 to the player 1 score. Player 2 wins, then we have to add a plus 1 to the player 2 score all the way through, as you can see. This allows it for the end, once the number of rounds reaches 0, we can print the game over statement. Then we can print the player 1 scored, player 1 score, so on and so forth. Then we can print the total amount of rounds that tied, which we counted with the if statement when the player 1 value equals the player 2 value. And then after that, if the player 1 score equals player 2, the game is a tie. And if the player 1 score is greater than the player 2 score, then player 1 wins, else player 2 wins. So now that we have gone through each of the steps that I took in order to create the program, we can actually show off what the final step looks like once we run it within the terminal. So we'll go ahead and run this. You can insert the player 1 name, insert player 2, and then the number of rounds, which we can just set to 10. So now we see that Tyler versus Lizzie for 10 rounds begin. It goes through for all 10 rounds to see who won, and then at the end we print the game over. Tyler scored 4 points, Lizzie scored 1 point, and the total rounds that were tied, 5. And then we can see that Tyler wins. We can retry that. See who wins this one. And we redo it. Same thing. Now we have different outcomes as the numbers are randomly assigned. And Tyler wins 5 points, Lizzie wins 2, total rounds tied, 3, and Tyler wins again. Now what we can go ahead and do is show the output when you insert a round that is less than 1. So if we do 0, for instance, you get an error, must be greater than 0. And if we try again with a negative number, it's going to be the same outcome. You know, it doesn't matter what negative number, it's less than 0.